I think in League, if you have a particularly good or innovative or useful idea of how to play the game, you prove it by climbing. So I was hoping to get to at least like 700 LP or something and then do a video. But clearly that didn't happen, and it's been a while, so I just wanted to say some stuff while it's still relevant. So I don't know what I'm doing wrong exactly, why I'm not climbing. It might just be like a few mistakes too many when I'm playing against better players in higher elo games. Sometimes people try to pull the wave level 1 so it pushes towards you and the enemy bot misses the first minion. But for me, walking up and hitting one of the enemy mage minions works better than pulling it. I spent a while getting my matchup win rates for Season 11, so I didn't want to spend any more time formatting it nicely, unfortunately. But the most striking thing is I lost a lot of my Sona and Janna games against Thresh. I don't know if it was playing too aggressive in lane or getting caught, getting snowballed on. I think what it might be actually a lot of is just face checking bushes without vision, because Thresh sets up picks and ganks really well. Um, it could also be not getting pinks, but I think that's more of an issue late game for like Baron or Dragon Soul. Um, so fortunately, Thresh is has been nerfed a few times, as have Alistar and Rell, who were the most common matchups. And like Hard Engage and Hook Champs are like the worst matchups for enchanters. So the more they get nerfed, like the better it is for enchanter sports. Um, on the losses to Rell, I would note that on her initial release, Rell was super broken, and then since then they nerfed her cooldowns and like stats a ton, I think. And plus, like I and others just didn't know how to like position versus Rell, so I don't think she's as unbeatable now as she was. And I actually feel like a common idea though is that Janna just counters Rell because Janna can like Q the Rell W. But I don't even like that matchup that much because she can still W her your AD carry if you're not right on them, or she can just flash stun someone, or she could like stun from whoever she's tethered to, or she can even just like roam. So Rell has options versus Janna, but I actually kind of like Sona versus Rell surprisingly because Sona can space champions really well with her range, and Sona's like Q range is way longer than Rell's W range. So you can kind of space Rell as Sona. And similarly against Kai'Sa players, a lot of Kai'Sa players like to Q whenever someone hits them, so that they're like Kai'Sa Q does damage back and maybe it gets like taste of blood or whatever. But Sona Q just hard outranges Kai'Sa enough to like Sona just doesn't get hit by the Kai'Sa Q. So sometimes if you like Sona Q a Kai'Sa, but like space her properly, she'll just instinctively press Q when she takes damage, but like only hit minions with it, which is kind of funny when that happens. I have not played Soraka much, but I feel like her abilities are more gated by health and like opportunities to hit Q than by mana. Plus, you just buy mana regen regardless on all enchanter supports, so you don't actually need mana flow band, I think. Whereas, especially if you have flash barrier and you're just trying to stay alive on Soraka, Nimbus cloak might actually be pretty helpful. So I kind of wonder if Nimbus Cloak Soraka could be good. I also wonder if Celerity even could be viable, since maybe her move speed on hitting Q got buffed, but and her passive gives move speed, but I actually don't know about Celerity. It might be troll. So in general, I feel like Soraka just did not fit into the game at all. So Riot just had to buff her a lot, but I don't know if she's viable. Another champion I haven't really played, Zilean. Seems pretty strong actually, but like also pretty hard to play in terms you got to land bombs, double bombs, time your ults, kind of roam maybe. So he's also sort of weird in that his like ult is his only skill that benefits from heal shield power. So I don't know how to build him exactly. Like maybe you need cosmic drive, whatever. I don't know. But anyway, so Zilean's good, but the champ's pretty hard to play and pretty unique. Lulu, I've only played a little of because I thought she was really easy and boring for a while. But when I actually tried her, I did pretty poorly, but also had a lot of fun. So I kind of want to play more Lulu since she seems good. She's probably the most like common enchanter in high elo and like the most common ban. Um, One thing I saw that's interesting is maxing W first, which is even better since they buffed her W by reducing the W cooldown by 1 second at all ranks. Not even about Lulu in particular, but just in general, in terms of the number of times you can use a skill per minute, there's a bigger decrease from an 11 to a 12-second cooldown than there is from a 12 to a 13-second cooldown. Or to take like an extreme example, if you go from a 1 second cooldown to a 2 second cooldown, you go from like 60 skills per minute to 30 skills per minute. So the lower a cooldown is, the bigger the benefit is to decreasing it by a constant amount. And if this looks familiar, it's because we've almost reinvented the derivative, which has nothing to do with League, but just a fun remark. So anyways, back to League. So for Sona, Janna, Yuumi, I like Moonstone because they just heal and shield a lot. So Sona can apply Shirelias on all her auras, so it is a good option on her, especially if there's like a very clear use for the move speed, like a Bard ult or something that you need to dodge and run away fast from. But honestly, between Shirelias and Moonstone, I don't even know which is better. Maybe it's situational, maybe one's better every game. Like I said, I personally like Moonstone on Sona, Janna, Yuumi because they just heal a lot. I feel like there's a nice synergy with Janna where you want to E before ulting anyways, so like that kind of works nicely with Moonstone and Staff Flowing Water. But on Karma, I could actually see Karma E and Mantra E spam working pretty well with Shrelias. Also, since Yumi's getting buffed, I just note that I think what Yuumi is really good at is following high mobility teammates in like dangerous games or situations. So if there's like a Kane or something on your team, Yuumi is really good at following that slippery champion and just staying on them in fights, where other enchanter supports can't really follow. I also have no idea what the jungle like changes are going to mean for Yuumi, like because in general having to contest crab or set your jungler behind is pretty bad for Yuumi because you want them to be ahead, but if you're not there for the skirmish, it's bad. But maybe they can catch up experience or something. Who knows? But it's also bad if the enemy jungler can 3v2 or 4v2 dive you under your tower because Yuumi is pretty susceptible to those dives.